I've been playing Titanfall 2 recently. Something I've begun to notice is how similar Titanfall 2 is to Destiny 2. That is, except the power fantasy is so much greater in Titanfall 2, which is strange because that isn't apparent at first glance, especially given that Titanfall didn't try to advertise itself in that way, while Destiny 2 always has these flashy, explosive abilities that are coming from the player. Now don't get me wrong, Destiny is really fun and I really like it, but the power fantasy doesn't feel like it's still there. Destiny and Titanfall follow a very similar design, fast-paced FPS combat with abilities set in a sci-fi universe. Looking even deeper than that, both Titanfall and Destiny use the same ability system, that being 3 combat abilities, a double jump, and a meter that feels based on performing tasks, which accumulates in a super powerful ability. In Destiny, these are supers, and in Titanfall, these are titans. In Destiny, your combat abilities are your grenade, melee, and class ability. In Titanfall, you have your grenade, tactical, and your booster. Both games utilize a triple weapon system, as in having a heavy weapon and 2 standard weapons. The only major difference being in Titanfall your heavy weapon is typically reserved for fighting titans as a pilot. The argument I would propose is that Titanfall 2 has a much greater power fantasy than Destiny, even though both games are so similar in many ways. Because Bungie has struggled with what Destiny should be, while Titanfall has always been very stable in its identity. I don't mean to compare Titanfall's multiplayer to the Crucible, but rather the Titanfall multiplayer to both PvP and PvE in Destiny. Plain and simple, Titanfall 2 offers a greater power fantasy than Destiny due to its skill gap and ability to master the tools that are given. In Destiny 2's PvE side, combat is very basic. You shoot the red boys with your white ammo, you shoot the yellow boys with your green ammo, and then you shoot the bosses with your purple ammo. Sure, you throw some grenades here and there, and weapons make explosions, but generally speaking, those explosions don't excite you. They're just noise along with the enemies. While in the Crucible, depending on the game type you're playing, it typically boils down to who's better with their one-shot weapon and who gets their super first. But in either situation, when you're losing or you've lost, there isn't anything actually enjoyable because you're simply finished or you decided to restart and try again. The moment-to-moment gameplay, while entertaining at first, starts to become monotonous and you're simply going through the motions to get to complete what you set out to do. Now look at Titanfall 2. Even when you lose a match, there is a side objective that opens up for both teams. The losing team attempts to make it to the evac ship to leave the planet, while the winning team tries to hunt down the other players or destroy their evac ship. From start to finish, there is never a dull moment in Titanfall, because when no enemies are around, you're more than likely running on the side of something. Destiny 2 and Titanfall are both vertical games thanks to double jumps and other abilities, but in Titanfall players are actually rewarded for being in the air to continue their momentum or by getting better angles on their opponents, while in Destiny 2 players are in fact punished for being in the air by lowering in-air accuracy. Clearly you can see how different the skill gaps are in both of these games. When I cast a super in Destiny, I get 20 seconds or so of space magic power that lets me shit on enemies or give my team a big buff. It's a fairly simple concept, but that's it. There's little to no skill ceiling for using a super. There are certain playstyles that are encouraged depending on what exotic you have or which subclass stump you're using, but these typically don't go any further than use your super in this way to extend it by a little bit more. Now on the other hand, when you hear Titanfall ready, the entire game changes. You call down your Titan and the game shows you where it's falling. You run over there to hop into your Titan. The key thing that a Titan does to Titanfall is it inverts the high speed of the pilot to make you stronger but slower. Being in the Titan gives you access to new abilities and weapons. Dissimilar to supers in Destiny, you can theoretically stay in your Titan forever once you've called it down. But this is only possible if you're good with your Titan, or in other words, there is a certain amount of skill to staying in your Titan longer. It's these big game-changing moments that Titanfall got so right, while Destiny and Bungie have been struggling with since the launch. It's apparent to me that the reason Destiny is so lacking in the power fantasy that it was sold as is due to the low skill ceiling and very little to master as far as abilities go.